welcome to Women Speaking, where we peel back the layers of Uganda's political story. Today, we're diving into the tale of two struggles: a chaotic by election and a government race to build infrastructure, bridges, roads, markets. On March 13th, 2025, the Kawempe by election promised a democratic showdown, but delivered allegations of rigging, violence, and a glaring question: is Uganda's electoral commission too weak to hold the line? Meanwhile, the state trumpets its infrastructure boom, shiny projects meant to signal progress. Um, but who really is this for? For the people or for politics? In this episode, we dissect the aftermath of Kawempe, asking if a toothless electoral commission is letting democracy slip, and whether the government's construction spree is a public service or a power play. Join us as we connect the dots between ballots and bulldozers. With me today in the studio to dissect this topic is an illustrious panel whom I shall introduce from my extreme left. Coming in on my extreme left is Irene Nassolo. She is the chairperson of the Interparty Women's Platform. Good afternoon and welcome to the show, Irene.
Good afternoon, and once again, my name is Irene. Currently, I can say I'm the former now.
Oh, the former.
Yeah, we have transited.
Okay.
We have been showing people that power, you can transfer power from one to another. So recently on Thursday, we had our debrief, and I handed over to FDC. So currently, I'm the former, and it is okay. I think that it is a sign to show that if we do the things peacefully, it can happen. Exactly. That's what we are looking for.
Thank you so much, Irene, and thank you for the peaceful transition of power.
But would you have stayed? How much do you earn for being a chair?
So no, it's not about a matter of earning.
I know why I'm
asking.
It's
not a matter of
Let me tell you, I know why I am asking.
The finances.
Yes, because you are saying we want to show that you can hand over easily like that. Yes. What else is expected in an office these days in the current environment? Or for an officer who is not earning anything,
but at least
only using her energy, her money, her resources.
But it's a demonstration, you know. But because it's a demonstration that we can hand over power. I think that's what we are all hungry about. Can power be handed over peacefully? That's what we are trying to dialogue.
You know, I'm sorry to disturb you, but I want people to be honest. Because you see, people, it is not about power only. It is what they get out of that power. So if you are holding a power like ours, you chairperson Akford, you are putting on the money, you are putting in fuel, your energy is going in there. I think you are looking forward to say, oh, actually, I'm so tired. The sooner I hand over, the better. But if this is an office that has a vehicle and cruiser is driving you with fuel, with what you must know what it is that actually makes people say hand over. That's what I was trying to bring to your attention.
True.
And that the public can really hear and you can dissect that also, because I have ever been voluntary.
But it's still voluntary or not, we did the transition, we handed over power, and I'm grateful for that. One thing that we are looking out for is peaceful transition of power. However much now Mama, she's bringing the attachments of the money, vehicle, SC, driver, resources, and all that. Yes. Can we try to reach that point? That is one thing that we are all here, and that's what we are looking for. That's all.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Irene. Right next to Irene is a familiar face on the show, Miss Nancy Caroline Ayot. Nancy is a writer and a feminist lawyer. Good afternoon, Nancy.
Good afternoon, Danita. Thank you for having me on the show again.
Thank you for joining us. And right next to her is also another familiar face in regards to nationally. Honorable Dr. Miria Matembe. She is a senior citizen and a human rights activist.
And a child of God.
Child of God.
I'm not an activist. I'm a defender and promoter of human rights.
True.
So not activist like that.
Okay.
Serious.
Child of God.
A child
Yes,
of God
that is the most important.
and a defender and promoter of human rights. Good afternoon and welcome to the show, Honorable.
Thank you very much. I'm always here. I'm about to get tired also. I better try to look for somebody that I can hand over.
Honorable.
Transfer power.
Transfer my seat also.
We shall find a worthy party to have you transition to. So delving right into the discussion today, we shall start with the Kawempe by-election. Irene, I would like you to set the stage for this particular discussion. Just like a bit of a delve into the Kawempe by-election, how it basically unfolded, and what are the different allegations at play, and where are we right now? We have had voting being carried out. Typically by now the party, well, what date is it? We are looking at 25th March. By now would have been looking to already had the swearing in happen. But where are we at right now in regards to this election?
I think when we look at the Kawempe by-elections currently where we are now, the swearing in, because by now it would have already been done. Because actually, why do you have now to say that we have to hold the by-elections for someone who's going to be in office for just like 6 months? Then he's out, we are again in the elections, and you cannot swear in that person immediately. Because I think that's what the instance was. But even up to now, I've heard that there is supposed to be a process of gazetting. But I think on the other side also, it is a delay tactic in terms of trying to, when someone wants to waste your time, to at least to take away frustration that, okay, this is a good agreement, this is a good election, I won, but still you want to frustrate me to always think otherwise. Because I heard that the NRM supporters, they want to go to court. And I'm like, over what? In Uganda, NRM, seriously? I should accept. Actually, I would have recommended if Nalukola was even the first one to go to court to challenge what he got. It's like, no, electoral commission, now is the time. These votes that I got are not that is not the actual result. He should have challenged them first, to slap them into their faces that whatever they want to do behind him, to start saying that he rigged votes and all that. They had the support when they actually didn't know. They didn't have the votes. So, and the first start, Nalukola should have been the one to challenge the votes that he did not get what he deserved, because he had more voters than what he got. Secondly, the after now, I'm like, NRM spent some good money in just one constituency. Billions of money. Why should they wait to spend money to just one constituency? What is the urge? Just one seat? We are talking about taxpayers' money. See, over 6 billion. That money could do us a service to the common person.
So it came from the NRM coffers, or?
Of course, NRM, when there's, we don't know whether they get the money.
That is the difference between NRM and government. The head of NRM is the head of government.
They are in the
He's
same
in charge of the resources and all that.
Yes,
one and the same.
because you cannot say that now you are deciding to spend all that much money in just one by-elections. What are you trying to prove? Because those are the things that we should ask ourselves.
Unless there's availability.
Yeah. Because right now we are going to the
next election
the next
cycle.
elections.
Actually, we're still in.
They should use that money at least to resource it out to the other infrastructures like the hospitals. We still need that money can build a good hospital.
So you mentioned something in regards to gazetting, some sort of scandal there. Can you break down what's happening in that regard?
By now, Nalukola would have been sworn in office. But even up to now, because the procedure, after winning, they have to gazette you, the Uganda Gazette and all that. And that process is not yet been done by Electoral Commission.
What is the Electoral Commission saying?
Quiet.
They're quiet.
Yeah, still quiet about it.
They are quiet.
Yeah, they are waiting.
But
No,
didn't Yamkama right to say that they don't have resources to...
That is
And
when
it
is a sign of being quiet when you say, how can Electoral Commission organize all that?
No, but it has
and you say that you don't have money. Just like when they say they don't have money for the national women councils. Yet that money was already allocated and it was budgeted. And it has told NRM that in that structure, NRM people for the past 10 years, they have been there by default, that they just decided there is no money. So that is how they stole those leaders, the women, in the National Women Council for over 10 years. Just because they wrote, we were not prepared about the elections. So by that default, we don't have money and we cannot conduct elections. And gazetting one person, does it take billions? Seriously?
Do you have any idea of an estimate of how much it would cost the Electoral Commission?
Just gazetting.
Yes.
A gazette is normally 500,000.
500,000.
Yeah. And they own, because the Electoral Commission and the Uganda Gazette, it's from the government. So it's just the directive. You write a letter and they gazette you. It's not like another political party or loop that they would go and say, now clearance says go to ADC, they clear you for that gazette. No, they are the authorities themselves. So writing a letter to go to the gazette should have been already there, because they are the people who have that mandate.
How much is the budget for the Electoral Commission, just to conduct, let's say, the 2026 elections, for instance?
In the last was it 2023? They had, I saw a budget of 25 billion. 25
billion Uganda shillings.
Yes.
And so now we're looking at around 500,000 Uganda shillings that the Electoral Commission...
Gazetting. And we don't need all those other ceremonies that accompany with. We can, because they'll say now we need the MC, we have to pay for that the venue, the seats, we don't need all that. We just need someone to be gazetted if you don't have money. And it's like going into a marriage. If you cannot afford a marriage of $1 billion, going to a register with 200,000, you can get married, and we call it a day. And at the end of the day, we'll be recognized, because what we are looking at is being recognized by the law. So if they don't have them do they need it for?
Okay, this is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Irene, I would ask you to take us back to the actual election itself. Right now, the NRM political party is saying that they would want to contest the particular results in this regard. Because obviously there was, first of all, allegations of vote rigging, violence, and the like. So it was a very unstable election. What was done? Who exactly are we hearing being blamed for the vote rigging, for instance, and for the violence? How exactly was the violence perpetuated? Paint us a picture of the actual day of the election, and a few in regards to... And then maybe what have the allegations been from both sides in regards to who has to blame, what happened?
From who's to blame each side. You cannot organize an election. We have been crying out, talking about this, that Banang, the elections, it's more of money-minded thing. That every time that it's so monetized, that someone cannot go to elections when it's not monetized. So don't expect that there will not be violence when everyone is expecting, what am I grabbing at the end of the day? So NRM, what it does, because they are the national coffers, they always dispose people with money. And here, one thing I know about elections, here, we will eat your money. And we will never vote you.
Yes.
You come, you say the beautiful words, okay, we have seen you. How much do you have? You give out the salt, at the end of the day, we know what we want.
Yeah.
Those are the people, especially here in Uganda. hey, we will eat your money, but we will not vote for you. So when they say that they want to go and challenge and contest the what was declared, to me, I think it is a slap of the face. It is telling them that it is okay to eat your money because you have willingly given us the money, but we will not vote for you. So it comes back that people, they still have the common sense to understand what is wrong and what is right, that a vote will not be bought because you have splashed money. You know, when someone, it's an accountability. Now they also want to account for the money that they have spent, thinking that they can run to court. But why run to court in the span of 6 months from now? Because now we are entering into April. And before we know it, we are going to the nominations in September.
Yes.
So how many months do we have? And you think the court process would have already been
elapsed?
No, it can't. Maybe they have some other hidden agendas that they want to promote that they are not telling us. Because what we have been hearing, that the NUP party, the one recognized by EC belongs to Chibalama. And I'm like, now, if it belongs to Chibalama, then where principle, where does he fall? Now, you see, we have been doing this, and I'm like, there is too much propaganda. Now they want to compile. You know, when someone wants to compile, to do something, they have to pile up to justify the fact that you are wrong, especially if you're fighting for what is right. So this kind of violence, first of all, the money issue. Because people, they fight because they have not got their share, which they have promised to them. And here, we'll eat your money and will not vote for you. Yeah, because we know where we stand.
But who was fighting? I wish you could be very clear.
Yeah.
Because when you say it's money, people are fighting
The judge.
of money. But you are saying there was violence. Okay?
Yeah, violence.
What caused the violence?
And
Is
who
it
was
because of
perpetuating?
money or that they ate the money or what?
The cause of the violence was, first of all, the supporters. Because this time round, everyone were like, we have to know the person who is going to be elected, because we know what we have already done in the ballot box. So we didn't want like someone else to be declared another person, because it comes back to the electoral commission person. They vote for someone else, and someone else is what? So whenever there is a commotion, two different voters, the NRM, the NUP, we have to fight. Because at the end of the day, we have to
who was fighting?
And the journalists were also beaten that day.
By whom?
I think this matter should be clear. Of course, me, I don't belong to any party, whether NUP or what.
Yes.
But we could see
Yes.
right from the beginning, right from the day of nomination, when NUP was nominating its people, from the nominating,
Yes.
not primaries of NUP. The primaries
were
of
okay.
NUP went
very okay.
Very
well.
smoothly. Yes.
They were
Now, the official nomination,
yes,
For all the candidates.
for all the candidates, didn't we see the judge?
Yes.
Isn't that when they came? And I heard the president, he's saying in his letter that, even this judge who put on the masks, who hid themselves, they were NUP, and they were hiding under NUP, and then they were fighting NUP.
But government has been the perpetrators of the mask.
First. I want to understand this. I want the public to get this point.
Yeah.
True.
Because when you are telling us, it's like as if NUP was fighting and the other fighting. But me, I want to see from the beginning. Would NUP fight itself? Because why should there have been the judge at the time of nominating candidates, for NUP? And I didn't know whether there was also, the judge also was there when they were nominating candidates for NRM or other
they
parties.
were not.
So now, if at NUP they are suffering, they come and shoot the journalists and do all this kind of thing. How come that the government says that all those things, all these with masks and so on, were NUP? I mean, if they were NUP, because I heard the Minister of Internal Affairs was saying they shouldn't have even covered their face, they shouldn't even have come. And in the end, none of the government people were saying who these people were. Until this one writes the letter, because they are saying it must be NUP people, it must be. So, is the country now safe? Is it safe? If NUP is the one in power which can bring jet and make people be like government, and the government is not aware, and it is NUP which is doing all this violence. Now, is Uganda safe from NUP? So what is this commander, the big commander who is always tweeting all this nonsense? What is he doing if NUP can do this? I mean, these are things which you should unpack for Ugandans. And when we are here debating, Ugandans are also seeing. They were seeing, and they knew. And then on the election itself, even before the elections, when they were predicting votes in the RDC's place, when the NUP went there gently, they didn't fight anybody. They went there to catch them as people should catch. And
to get evidence.
What did they do?
They assaulted.
They shoot this young man. You know, this young man who was shot in the leg. I think he's a media person.
The
one who was crying and they shot, I don't know, she said the kidneys. I saw on the video, he was in the hospital, he was dying, crying, dying. And who were these people now? Who were shooting?
Who even have guns?
They didn't. They were asking these things, the NUP leaders, that where are you going? They are the very people who came and shot these people. And that man is from Zimbabwe. The RDC there in Kawempe from Zimbabwe. What was he doing gathering all those people? And then I heard the Electoral Commission chairperson saying, I wish you could bring me those predict votes. People are in the house. They are predicting. You are tipped. You go there to catch them. They are hiding. They have all these people to protect them with guns. You expect you who is going to catch them to enter the house and you go away free. I'm so emotive. I wish I could get this predictable. Instead of calling, instead of sending even police to get that because Electoral Commission, that chairperson should have had authority when he received this news to go or to send for those people that they bring them and account to him there. He has the right. If he's told that there are certain predicted votes or somewhere, why didn't he send police to go there and check what was happening there? Instead, he was saying, I wish I could bring these predicted votes. You see the mistakes they made. They should have first told the police. Now, if they tell me we caught some people and those people are in the government, I go and run to police. Police is the one which will tell them that you clear the way. The best I can do is to go there and catch myself and see them and then bring you information. And when I bring you information, you say, I wish you brought the predicted votes. I mean, all this.
That is kind of some trying to rub away the evidence from the people, because most of the times that's what they do, to frustrate you. May
I believe that the stage was already set for violence from the very beginning. It was set for violence from the beginning, from the nominations we saw. It's not like it's a secret, because these days the media and the internet documents everything. They assaulted Nalukola, they took him away, and now the allegations is that they took him away to keep him safe because NUP supporters were trying to beat him.
Somebody said that.
Yes.
Oh my God. You know, I've been telling people. I avoid abusing people, but at times they provoke me to abuse them. I mean, saying, because you cannot imagine that Ugandans are stupid, are fools, and therefore you can say such things and they say, yes, protecting the person of NUP. Protecting
They should just provide, minus taking him away. Because if they were protecting, then they should not have taken him away, and they brought him back to the state he was in, because he came when his shirt was torn and was like
he was bruised and beaten.
So the protection was not protective.
It was not.
And but you remember prior to that, they had even arrested this man's brother
Nancy.
They had arrested Nancy and other people and put them off. And I heard this man on TV. But I saw him on TV. I saw him on TV saying, yes, we did not abduct them. We arrested them because they were saying that they will cut the NRM members, that they will cut with their panga, cut NRM members, and therefore they arrested them. And me, I was saying, but what about this man, the Horo Chief Commander, who says that anybody who wears a NUP uniform, we shall kill them.
Yes.
Anybody who does not, any NUP who doesn't join NRM by July, we shall kill them. So that one, whom we see even on TV clearly, tweeting and saying, while the other ones, we haven't heard them say that. But this one who is clear and is tweeting it, who is arresting him?
No one.
Nothing.
So Ugandans are not fools, Banang. They are watching, except that, of course, they fear. They have been gripped with such terrible fear, and they are scared.
I think to add on that is that while the narratives are there, denying all these things that they have done, that have been documented, that are on record everywhere, not just on the internet, but on people's phones and even the media in itself, we need to recognize that these people's stories contradict each other, because CDF, the General Muhoozi, went on Twitter himself and he said that the JAT personnel do not need to unveil their faces, that they can keep their faces covered.
Yes, he was disagreeing with the Minister of Internal Affairs, who said that surely they shouldn't have hidden their faces. And then, as you were saying, the army commander disagreed. That they have
and then there was a very popular picture of one of the JAT soldiers who assaulted journalists seriously in the by-election that was going around social media. And Muhoozi got that picture and said, I need to find this man and promote him in rank.
Very interestingly, did we not have for instance, the minister Balam come out and say that these were not security personnel, government security personnel. These were instead NUP supporters that stole, and yet we're seeing conversations of promotion, questions arise. Yes,
but also to add on that, Minister Balam is a liar and a gaslighter, because right under those tweets because under every tweet where Mr. Muhoozi spews nonsense, he comes and he praises him. Oh, our king.
Yes. Our Muchwezi.
Our Muchwezi. Oh, you're the best. So where he, every time he spews a lie outside to defend himself against the violence that he himself took to Kawempe, because he had no business being there.
Yes.
He had no business being there. The violence that he took there, even where he kicked ballot boxes and destroyed government property. Minister Balam, he ordered them.
The one who did that.
He ordered them. Yes. So everywhere where he did those things and came out to deny them and claim it was NUP supporters, he has a different side where he endorses those things. So I think I know for sure that this is a situation where we know for sure that the government committed all these atrocities in Kawempe. In Kawempe, where they have never done anything. And during their campaigns, they said that the reason why Kawempe has not developed to the standard, the reason why they do not contribute to Kawempe itself in its infrastructure development and everything, is because Kawempe has not been voting the NRM. It's the same reason why they went and paraded Segirinya's widow and his children, but they were still not voted.
Yes.
They were still not voted.
But you can imagine the inhumanity, the inhuman hearts of these people carrying that young person, and
By the way, I heard there was also when those who were beaten in the elections, the journalists, when they took them to the hospital,
They
were like, we are not giving any aid. We have enough issues here. Go away. And I'm like, where should they go when this is a hospital where you have to treat those ones who are being injured?
This was at the hospital. This was at the hospital.
Which hospital? No.
Mulago, where they took them.
So Mulago turned them away.
They were like, no, we don't want you here. You have already done enough troubles and our wards are full. It's like they were trying to say that you have allowed you have put yourself in harm's way and you want the doctors to treat you.
But forget that. It is a government
and I'm like,
hospital.
it's the government has
I
to
don't
do
know.
that.
I haven't heard about that. You mean that is what
Yeah, because the hospital, those who were hurt in the process of fighting and all that,
The violence.
And they had to be taken to the hospital. So it was like, however much things are for free, we are full to the fullest. We don't want to know. So they had to be transferred to other smoke clinics to be treated. Yet now this is a government place. And I'm like, seriously? How can the hospital refuse? Because they were saying that, you guys, you have been fighting and you knew what would happen. Why did you even put your harm's way? Sometimes trouble will never try to that trouble to come to you. To just come to you when you don't know. Because now that person who was shot, the journalist
in his line of work.
Yeah.
Let us just be fair.
But you can imagine what pain is some of us. You see this Prime Minister woman masquerading with that
the deceased family and his
the Nyanzi. What is the name?
Segiri
Nyazi's children, child, and saying, yeah, we are here. We are going to take care of this family. You know, using them for
political gains.
Can you imagine the orphan, the suffering people whose father and wife, husband died because of these very people? It is so sad, you people. It is not a matter of just coming here to debate, but people should see how the extent of humanity that humans in Uganda have lost.
That you want to gain from...
And these are mothers. What kills me is that these are mothers. And we fought when we are fighting our battle for gender equality and women's empowerment. Our argument was that women are mothers, they are
more compassionate.
They promote peace, they cannot be corrupt, they are so compassionate, they care for humanity. And now you see the head, the biggest in the government is the one taking, I don't know what to call it, misusing, inhumanly, dehumanizing even the family, the helpless family of this man,
someone who died in government custody,
to use them, that they will take care, that they will pay so that they may attract the sympathizers in Kawempe to give them votes. Really.
Recently, a friend of mine was very bitter. We were discussing about politics, and she was like, "You know why I hate politicians? You use us. Now look at the way." Actually, she was commenting about the minister coming in to say that we are going to sponsor the orphans here and there. And I was like, we are busy mourning for the lost of our beloved one. Can't you do that one in private? Don't you think that we appreciate, because whether you do it or not, someone will those kids, they will go to school. But we are busy mourning and you are trying to parade us so that the public might see you as the hero of the day. Yet there you just want to make a statement and go away, and at the end of the day, you don't even follow up what happens next. It was like, you politicians, you're bad people. And I'm like, we are bad because some people, they have masqueraded to be bad, but not everyone is bad. But this is one thing that we should think about. When people are mourning, we should realize that someone, if they are mourning, we should not use them to our advantage. Because what they did, she was like, us soliciting for a vote for that particular time because it suits you better. What if it was in another side of the angle? Would she have done the same? So there are things that we need to reflect about, because at the end of the day, that's what most times discourages people to even go to vote. Because they're like, what? Why are we voting? What are we doing? There is no service delivered at all. Why? Tell us why. And I'm like, okay, I'm not yet there, but I believe when I get there, maybe those are the things that we are going to first see, that if there is a better service delivery, because democracy starts with dialoguing.
Moving on, obviously this is a very emotional topic, but more than that, I would want to stand in the shoes of the average Ugandan. As an average Ugandan, by all accounts and purposes, it looks like we have no functional system. When the judiciary passed their Supreme Court decision, has there been any implementation of it in regards to personnel being no longer being tried before the military court? No, the military came out and said, we're no longer going to do that. When elections were happening, the Electoral Commission was also telling political parties to go and collect evidence for it. It was also violence emerged. There has been no tangible reaction on from any of the forces that ought to take account for it. By all accounts, it looks like there is no functional system in this country. At least nothing an average citizen can look to and see at least some hope. Some hope. So why in January 2026 would I go to the ballot and start voting when I already know? People will tell you, if I'm being extremely frank, people will tell you, we already know the results. We already know how things are going to turn out. So why would an average Ugandan citizen go to the ballot in 2026 and vote? As politicians, what are you hoping to hinge on to decide to and I think it's justified. I think it is justified. I
am one.
I think it's justified, the hopelessness Ugandans are feeling right now. So why would I go to the poll in 2026 after what I've seen in 2021, but also right now on March 13th, 2025?
I think why we should still go to vote, because it is our right, whether we like it or not. Uganda.
It is also our right to receive medical treatment in a national hospital.
I wonder why they were denied.
It is no wonder. It's because
it was
of political...
something that was shameful for the hospitals to deny medical attention.
Let me rephrase that question. Do you think it will have any effect, us going to the polls in 2025? People will tell you, we already know what the results are going to be. Right now, we have a significant portion of opposition MPs in parliament, particularly from NUP. Has that made any significant impact in how legislation has been done? Because that is their primary role. Has it made any significant impact in how legislation has been done?
But let me tell you, for me, what disturbs me is that you are talking of significance of NUP in the
legislation.
First of all, I want to tell, of course, the people listening to me, those who know what the role of parliament is supposed to be. The current parliament does not play the role of parliament.
Yes.
They ended up taking up the role of the executive. That's why you see them involved in going to buy ambulance, building hospitals,
constructing
roads, schools, doing all these themselves, which is not
their role.
The role of a parliament, the three major roles, to represent the people and articulate their views in parliament, which results in making laws and policies and programs that eventually you appropriate the budget.
Yes.
Yeah? Yes. You see the plan and what it is. The parliament is supposed to approve whatever the executive does. So the executive culturally brings the budget according to what they think they are going to do, and the parliament appropriates the budget, and then its role is to pretend, oversee how this budget is implemented, and how they have used this money for the good of Ugandans.
Yes.
And then also to go back, mobilize their people, educate them, inform them what is happening and what is expected of them also as Ugandans. And that's their role. But now for them, they decided they are the implementers.
Yes.
And actually, even the president tells them that that's what they should be doing. Because you remember when he went to open the speakers' schools, whatever they are, swimming, is it swimming pool? or the football pitch and so on.
Yes.
He said, you parliamentarians, see what the speakers are. Each of you, it could be better if each of you could do such activities in your constituencies. And surely, even you wanted to go to parliament, even these people who are going there, I'm sorry, I don't want to abuse them, but they seem not to know what their role is. Yes. Because when they reach there, they tell people they are going to do this, they are going to do this, they are going to do this, as if that's what they are supposed to do. That is one. Point number two, what hurts me so much is a government whose head does not know the role of a president or a government in a democratic governance. In a democratic governance, you, especially with political dispensation, party, parties go there and contest with their heads, their leaders. But the one which wins, and it takes government, its responsibility is to make sure that they serve the people of the nation, irrespective of where they lost the vote or they didn't, they won. Because you see, we're in this country, in every area, in every constituency, maybe there in Chirura where sometimes they put Simani 90, whatever, all of them 100. But in every constituency, you will not find 100% given to the party which wins.
Yes.
So that means in every constituency there are people who have voted for the government.
Yes.
You see, they voted for the government. But I have seen President Museveni since the multi-party dispensation came here. He goes and he says it clearly without shame. He says, you people, you voted wrongly. You gave me wrong people, and that's why there are no programs. And that's why we are not developing. And they were even saying it clearly in Kawempe, and even in Kasese. Remember when Kasese had rejected NRM?
And gone for FBC.
So when they went and said, you are not going to get any service. So the people bowed and said, Munang, we are not getting services, so we must go back to the NRM.
So they are
and
punished
even
for their choice.
Go to leader, they said, for how long are we going to remain without getting services because we are opposing the party? It is extremely wrong. Ugandans should know that. And the president who clearly, without any shame, says that you didn't give me the right people. I mean, we are the electorate. We know the person whom we want. Do you know why we want that person? Because maybe we see his intelligence, we see his generosity, we see he loves the people, we see his service-driven heart. We know the person we want to send. Now, why do you come from your national there and say, you gave me a wrong person? Are you the electorate or we are the electorate? And you say, because you gave us a wrong person, you are not getting services. It's very wrong. It's wicked, by the way. When I keep talking of wickedness, it's just not unconstitutional. It is wickedness. It is ignorance, not knowing that multi-party shows that we compete.
True.
When we win, we serve the nation to the best ability. Where we fail and we come back and we lose, we do not lose because we have not served the other area or the other area. See, because people want to choose again. Moreover, check whether this one would not do better than you. But this whole thing, which is even supported by the members of parliament. I see them talking, you didn't, it is your fault. You can't have roads here because you did not vote us. You can't, that's total ignorance.
True.
It is not ignorance, it is wickedness, it is self-centered kind of service, which is not focusing on people. And for me, that's why now the politics of this country, talk of elections or not, if I were the whole of Ugandans, I am telling you to be honest. If I had authority or power, I would tell Ugandans, please, in order to save money, which is lost during elections for nothing, and in order to save the young people who are being maimed and murdered and killed for nothing, let us leave elections, and these fellows go, they return unopposed, let them do what they want. Because I'm telling you, in terms of what Ugandans can do right now to change the type of government that we have, they can't do anything.
Yes.
Ugandans cannot do anything right now to change the situation through a ballot. They can't. But some people, I see them so, because they see that Parliament is the highest paid institution, Parliament is the one who takes all the money in Uganda, therefore everybody is focusing on Parliament. They go there, they sell their houses, they sell their vehicles, they're about to sell themselves in order to get into Parliament. Not to serve the people. Some people, for me, the way I perceive things, I'm sorry they will forgive me, but I see any person who really is service driven and would like to make a change, a fundamental change or transformation in her constituency or his constituency, cannot be competing for elections right now in Uganda, because you will get nothing. Even when you win as NRM, you win, but I'm telling you, whatever money you are going to get, they will be taking it away, or you will be paying for the houses you sold. Let me tell you, if you go and look up, even the NRM people who did not win elections this time, and who were not bought with some jobs, because many of them, they become presidential advisors, they become RDC.
Yes.
They are given jobs in order to be retained. But for those who didn't get any job or whatever, you go and look and see what they look like.
They are drowning in.
You go and see what they look like. You think they look like me who left 20 years ago?
No.
Moreover, with no pension. And for them, they get pension. But you go and see them. Because they all this money, whatever they get, they pump it in. I saw the chairman of the Electoral Commission was saying he's very ready. Did you get that? That he's very ready to run the 2020.
He has to show power and he has to show confidence.
No power.
No, he has to show confidence for the one who was put in there.
He's ready. What is the testimony of his readiness?
When he's saying that he doesn't have money.
If he cannot
oversee
Kawempe. And by the way, I clearly saw on TV the very Attorney General. Attorney General is advisor of government, okay? And he works under the Ministry of Justice, where the Uganda Electoral Commission falls. I saw him clearly saying that the Electoral Commission is very weak and was incapable of managing the elections. That is the advisor of government.
Finally spoke the truth.
Now what is that?
Because when you say that you don't have the money to gazette someone, it means that, and you say ready.
There's a question there. Now, I think one of the most pertinent things that we have to talk about, and Nancy, I would pose this question to you. I'm going to shift the discussion a bit to our infrastructure. Typically, as elections come around, every election period, we see a boom in infrastructure development in the country. Right now, if you go around the city or across the country, you will see roads being constructed in multitudes. Whether they are being completed or not is another question. But we are seeing construction, or quote-unquote construction, happening, right?
True.
Some would question, first of all, Nancy, is the infrastructure being developed with the aim of actually serving the people with what they're owed, that is stable infrastructure development, infrastructure that will last them generations? Or is it politically motivated? Have the interests of the people, that is in regards to, when you're constructing for someone, for an entire nation, you have to take into account even someone's work period, how they move to and fro work. Have the interests of the public being taken into account as we're constructing? Even the choices we're making in construction, we're choosing to construct roads. They are telling us Mulago is overwhelmed. We're choosing to construct bridges. They are telling us, I interestingly went to a school in Ginger last week, and they did not have a signpost. I have to be very, very frank. The school, the structures the students were learning in were similar to the kraals we have in our village to keep our cows. That is the
in Ginger City.
But there are very many schools
exactly.
like that.
There are very there are
Okay.
so many of them, and we are choosing to construct roads, which well and good.
Okay, let me begin by saying, in a social contract, the people put the government in power to do for them these services. So it is always politically motivated. It is always politically motivated. Now, the political motivation depends on the needs of the people. You need to appease certain people so that they can give you back that power. That being said, let us also think about the conversation we've been having from the beginning of this show. It is the fact that there is a defunct government that does not care.
Yes.
That does not care and is doing a lot of things just for show. A lot of things just for show. And the infrastructure in itself is nothing to talk of, because it is only that you go out of Uganda that you realize that we are nowhere on the global scale, especially when it comes to infrastructure. Our roads are as small as this room, and 2 cars need to pass on. Those are the roads. That is the fact. And these roads that are being commissioned right now are roads that were promised prior to 2021 elections. So the point is, right now, it's a circus. It's a circus. They are just trying to excite people, and yes, to our detriment, a lot of people get excited by these things because there is so much ignorance. Because another thing that they've not invested in is education. Political education was removed. So the average Ugandan does not even know that these are things that they're entitled to. They believe that they're doing them favors. When the government goes, for example, let's just go back to Kawempe by-elections, because this is our test example. Kawempe is a city, is in the cities within Kampala metropolitan. The sewage, the drainage system is horrible. It's the perfect place for any outbreak to happen. Kawempe by-elections, the reason why Segirinya was so heavily supported was because of his promise to the infrastructure of the constituency, where he came up, and when he started building hospitals, immediately they threw him in jail. And he never got to legislate for his people until the day he died. Because he was in jail, then he was battling sickness, then he died. But also, thirdly, let's look at the fact that the only sound road in Kawempe right now is the Kampala-Gulu Highway.
Yes.
Yes, it is within the city, but that is it. The others are panyas. So the drainage system doesn't work. The roads do not work. Now, let's go to electricity. The electricity, even with Omeme and even with us exporting electricity to other countries, Karuma Dam, like all these dams that we've had throughout the years, projects that were heavily invested into in order to generate more money for this country, to improve the infrastructure of this country, have yielded nothing, because electricity is still so expensive. This morning on a show on UBC, they were talking about the transition. Now Omeme is
to UDCL.
Yes, to UDCL. They are talking about reducing tariffs. No. They will never reduce tariffs, and I believe that because these people lie. I will keep saying this, because these people lie a lot. They go on national TV and they lie about these things. And they were telling us that Omeme already reduced tariffs, that tariffs have already been reduced. Is it the year before by 25%? Don't quote me on that, 20 to 25%. And that on the first units, on the first, is it 5 units, you get about 15 more.
Yeah.
And I am telling you, as a person who uses Yaka every day of my life, that if an average citizen who cannot afford to have money to buy the units in bulk, for example, gets 5,000 shillings and decides to buy Umeme units, do you know how many units they'll get? One unit.
Oh, well, I think that's also dependent on the time of month that you buy it, isn't it?
I promise you, it is one. Whether it's at the beginning of the month or in the middle, 5,000 shillings will get you 1 unit. How? I think that there is a lot of fraud in this. There is a lot of corruption, as we all well know it. Nobody is taking accountability for what they do. These people are ready to make the promises that they make during election time. Even MPs are making promises of constructing roads, like Honorable Miria said. Who are they? With what power?
I think that also comes down to our civic education. Whether it fails to educate the potential legislators on what exactly their duty is.
But also the internet is wide today. As a legislator, you can read. You have no business saying those things.
We have a duty. The government has a duty to educate the average citizen on what their roles are. There are 3 arms of government. It is not that hard.
I just said that they don't care. Even our courtrooms are too small. The roofs leak. The sacred court.
The
case backlogs are so many. And now we are saying, let's go to alternative dispute resolutions. And I'm telling you right now, as a person who is working in ADR, I strongly believe that there are certain cases that should not be resolved amicably, but outside court. No. Somebody's daughter has been raped and they're going to give him 5 cows.
Yes.
They'll
even hand over the daughter.
And they'll hand over the daughter. That is a person who needs to be
to
the rapist, because
that's what you see.
That's what's
been happening.
It's what's being happening.
In regards to alternative
dispute resolution. They said
people stop abusing things unless you are very sure.
I am very sure.
You are very sure. Dispute resolution,
if you go back to our community, it's not even about what is allowed legally.
It's not that it's allowed legally. It is what people are doing now.
And
but they are doing it themselves, not through court system. No, if you are telling me, dispute resolution, as a lawyer who knows what is going on with the backlog and even the corruption involved and all these things, instead of having a case that takes 20 years, I have case in court, 10, 20 years. You even die before the case is over.
The judge dies.
And right now, by the way, I'm involved in a case where we say, I had even gone for mediation today, and I found that they had even transferred it from the registrar to the judge to be the mediator. Next time we go, they'll fix another time. But for me to go to this court, which takes years and years, if somebody said, okay, let's sit at the table as human beings and discuss and see what we can do. If it is a question of stealing my vehicle or my cows or what, it's okay. Let us see. We amend. I mean, you at least if you store, give me for 2 cows. At least pay me for 2 cows, and I let you go home. If that is the kind of mediation we are talking about, but not mediation where you file a girl and you go, you sit at the registrar's office and in court or the judge, and you say, yes, you raped this girl. Now the argument is that you give 10 cows to these people and you take the girl.
Yes.
By force.
Now mediators are not attached to courts alone. They're independent mediators that are being encouraged. People are being encouraged.
They are not. There must be regulations and the principles and structure that govern that kind of. Don't rubbish mediation.
No, we are not rubbishing.
Very, very important for the judicial system in this country. Otherwise, people will never hear their cases and it will never
I get your point, Honorable. I get your point, Honorable, that mediation is very important. And it is. And I agree with you entirely that it is. And I also know that there are regulations involved. But on the ground, there are other things that are happening. These are things that have been documented by women's rights organizations as well, on how these children are being sold off at a young age.
Those are the cultural things
Not just culture things. People get actually independent mediators and they do these things and it happens in community.
Independent mediators from where? From the government?
No, not from the government, from the society.
Let us separate. I mean, I have been an advocate for women's rights all this time, okay? I even go, you see me here, when these people sell their girls 12 years or 13, and I come to know, I go there and even return the cows to them and redeem these girls. I do. So we should separate where Ugandans are not all that educated, they are not all that, they are not elite. Those ones in the villages are still suffering. And so when the family may come together and say, for us, we have forgiven you because you have defied this girl and we have forgiven you, you go bring cows. That one is criminal and it cannot be accepted. And if these people take the matter, or if you are a civil society and you see it and bring it to the attention of the law, it will not work. So separate the two, because anyway, the government is supposed to conduct civil education, as you are saying. But we also, as respective Ugandans, for me, when I come to blame government, I blame it where it takes a responsibility and does not do it. For instance, I blame it for shutting down the civil society organizations, which were doing fantastic job. That one, yes, because they were, you call it FIDA, UNIT, whatever, were doing good work. But now because they attacked the civil society and they think it is funded and it is fighting them, now they end up closing them. And yet for them as a government, they don't have the capacity to conduct that civic education that we are carrying out. So when we are condemning them, we should condemn them on that angle of conscripting the civic space, where the civil society was educating the public and they are coming to know their rights, and yet for them, they are incapable and incapacitated of doing it. For me, that's how I look at it.
I believe that what I am trying to say is that despite the laws that are in place, despite the procedures that are supposed to be followed, there is a lot of misinterpretation of what it is supposed to be. And that is why we have these problems. And I am not saying that the courts or the government is facilitating that. I'm saying it's a loophole in the implementation of certain things that they could have looked into and prevented earlier on.
But beyond that, there are areas in which we have had actual misuse by those who are in power. I can tell you that I used to do work with the women's rights organization in Namutumba and Kamuli, and you would find in communities like that, a police officer, an LC officer, an LC of those areas would go and oversee these kinds of discussions.
Even a grade 1 magistrate would be there.
It would be them that would be overseeing. These are not right. When we say they would pick people from the community, we don't mean they would just pick like maybe an elder or anything.
They would oversee them when they are corrupt. They take wrong decisions.
Yes, they would take
but that's corruption. It's not an official thing.
They were coming under the auspices of their offices. Were coming under the police. Were coming under maybe the executive. Were part of the LCs who are coming under.
And they allowed those wrong things, and you also endorsed and you accepted them.
We did not pass it. That's where we came into the discussion to figure out ways to overturn these illegal things. But you've ably communicated what is happening with CSOs today. Underfunded. The shrinking civic space is shrunk. There is no room.
And even when the RDC decides that you will not do work in that district, you will not do work.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what we should condemn. The conscription of the civic space, the silencing of Ugandans, so that they may not oversee and see what should be done right. For me, that is the
I remember one time we were at a meeting and a police officer stood up to defend his side. It was like there are so many cases that they receive over every other month, over 100 cases. Now this one, he was trying to portray that the Justice Department they have a backlog. So by the time they take the culprits, the accused to the court, sometimes the evidence and the time, the adjourning, by the time the court, they decide now they are going to hear the case, especially the cases of rape or molestation. By that time, when the police officer goes back to the family to say that now we have reached here, this is what is happening, the family has already decided to stay away. And they're like, you people, you have taken your time. It is over 6 months. We have not heard from you and you are not following it up. And our girl here was pregnant. What could you have done? And all that. So he was like trying to say that police will try, but at the end of the day, even
the
on the
system
side,
is broken.
Yeah. So it was like trying to also seeking for a solution from us, who were the attendees, that how can we really address this, because when you go and try to make your case to be known, the evidence is no longer there. So those
but also there's just no real motivation for anyone, because corruption is not just with bigger government agencies. It is down to it has trickled down to everyone, because even a police officer, sometimes to register your case, will tell you, so sit there, move around. He'll move around so much, and then for you to actually get audience to begin with, he may want like 5,000 shillings. In the event that you do not have that, you will not get justice.
Or even they'll tell you to print your forms. But ladies, we have come to the end of this particular discussion. I think it has been very, very engaging, but then also educational. Pertinent issues have been spoken about. I do not think we have delved into it as thoroughly as we ought to have, but we shall continue to, as is our, I think, as duty as citizens, to talk about what is happening. But I would request that we all give our closing remarks briefly, starting from Irene and then moving into Honorable Matembe. Please go ahead.
Once again, thanks for hosting me to this show today. My closing remarks would be the government, why we gave you the seat where you are, it's service delivery. I think the most important thing that the government should do is do service delivery, not to just do whatever they want to do because they want to win the votes of the people. At the end of the day, why you are there is to do service delivery, like the roads, the hospitals, education. Those are the key points in the government, because when you educate a child, you educate a nation. When you empower a woman, you empower a nation. Those are things that we should look at most, rather than just waiting and compiling your funds and waiting to dish them out on the final day of elections. That is not going to do us justice. So I beg and I request that let us continue to do service delivery instead of just buying for votes. Thank you.
My final remarks is that the government does not use its own money to facilitate people. So people should not be fooled by the promises that these people make prior to elections, because that is exactly what they are supposed to do. In fact, you should be asking them why they have not done the things that they were supposed to do. Secondly, I would also like to say that the Kawempe by-elections showed us that there is a resilience with people. And whereas it may look like there is really nothing that, can be done, I believe that people showing up is the first show of resilience. That you show up, you vote, you protect your vote. And now some people will say, at what cost? A lot of people will die. And I don't think that we should blame people who do not want to show up for elections because they have been de-enfranchised by the violence that is out there. But anyone who has the capability should show up, should vote, albeit there is rigging, but should exercise their constitutional right, because it is the only right that we have at this point. But also to conclude, I think that the state of our infrastructure is deplorable. because many things are not working. Karuma Bridge was fixed, but now they're about to close the bridge again. Oh, they've closed it. They're about to close it again. There's the Kasese River is overflooding and eating into the land. Yes, typically, like every year. Yes. And yes, the ginger schools are like sharks, and yes, and there is no real thing going on. There is no real effort to actually improve the infrastructure, unless the government is pushing for some new agenda, unless they're inviting some international guests that they need to impress. So people should not be fooled prior to elections. Your MPs do not have the power to construct roads. It is the duty of the government. And that's the reason why you cannot construct your own road. Otherwise, people would be doing so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know what I have already said it. I want, for me, my core is, or my desire is that I wish every Ugandan's eyes can be opened and ears opened also, to see that actually we are heading nowhere in the way we are. And I want to call upon them to stop fearing, because Ugandans have been gripped with that kind of fear that they think if they get up and speak the truth, if they get up and refuse the wrong, if they will die. I don't know why they fear death, because for me, I cannot fear what will ever happen to me. And I want to tell every Ugandan, please get up so that each of you can acknowledge that we are going in a wrong direction, like we are like sheep without shepherd, drawing from what they excuse. We don't know this one. Minister says this one, or the government commander says, the president says this, which points to us that actually there is nobody in charge. We are like in a plane, and we are the one flying it doesn't know where we are going, and we are there moving. And so my call, please, wake up. Let us call upon our God.
Amen.
God is the one who can redeem this nation. True. And therefore, I'm calling upon you to rise up and pray. And pray without action is dead. And therefore, each individual identify what part you can play. True. In the midst of this situation. What can you play? You see, people like me, I talk. I don't stop at talking. When I see people grabbing the elder's land, I go in there. When they are raping our girls, I go in there. I do the little that I can do. Although people say I come here to complain, I don't just lament. My coming here is to call upon you people. Not that we are going nowhere. True. Rise up and pray committedly, call upon our God to come and redeem us, and at the same time, pick what part you can play it, and stop fearing. True. The word of God says that cast are those who fear men instead of fearing God, and those who trust in man instead of trusting in God. That's my call to you listening to me.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the end of Women Speaking. This has been, like I said earlier, a very educative and pertinent discussion. As we go forward into, the remainder of our weeks, please take the words that have been said here from Honorable Matembe, from Nancy and Irene to heart. At this point, it is only us as citizens that can do anything. It is evident that there is little to no regard for our well-being, for our country's growth, and just our basic humanity. So let us do what we can in our different capacities, but let us ensure that we actually do something as individuals. My name is Turiho Danita. I have been your host this afternoon. Have a blessed day and an amazing week.